Hello. So I love gardening, and I thought, why not record myself gardening and share it, which is great because, well, looking at the weather, normally you wouldn't do this at the start of summer, but it's about 18 degrees and muggy, and probably the wettest, or what might be the wettest year on record. Welcome to Britain. So I'm going to be replanting these two front beds here that you see. In there, or if I take you, so you can see that there's bearded iris, this little creeping sorrel. Where is it? There you go. Little yellow flowers, I quite like that. You have the steepers, or the ponytail grass there. And Ericium. Is it Ericium? Wallflower. Let's just go with that. Purple wallflower. Which are not doing that great. And a little Rigeron here. So this is quite a tricky site. Almost purely south facing, gets absolutely battered by the sun, and no rain at all. As you can see, it's kind of protected by the house, so it's quite a hostile condition. However, there's a couple of things. Of course, the bearded iris, absolutely loved it. The first year I transplanted them there, flowered brilliantly, and you get a fantastic display. However, it's about 4 weeks. So I've got some plants here that'll hopefully provide a bit more year-round interest and perhaps work a bit better here. This year, unfortunately, it's been horrible for slugs, and they love the juicy stalks of the bearded iris. So we didn't get that good of a display this year. However, I will try and find a pic, because all gardeners have loads of pictures of their garden. I'll try and find a picture of when they flowered really well, so you can see. But what I'm going to put instead, hopefully, is going to work just as good. So these are the options. Now these have been picked because they can cope with very dry, very hot, very sunny conditions, I hope. We've got Cedar matrona, or what is now known as Hylotelephium, I think. You can see the lovely foliage there. Nice offset and accent, even when it's not flowering. And then, of course, you get the rich late flowers in autumn. We've got Lavender intermedia grosso. So this should get to about 1 meter by 1 meter. So a space filler. Of course, you know, what reminds you more of summer than lavender? We're going for a kind of Mediterranean vibe. Some people pick plants, you know, just because they might be in a garden centre and they like the look of something, or they like the flower, and not really give much consideration to perhaps, you know, putting it in the right place or the conditions that it likes. I like to pick plants such as this. Now this is Oenothera lindemari Zgora. I always get that last bit a bit confused. But this is Zgora. Now you'll see this, or sometimes known as whirling butterflies, I think. You'll see this prolifically in the Dordogne region in France. And I've been there with my partner's family twice now. Sometimes I like to pick plants that remind us of places that we go, holidays that we've been on, because those are the things I notice when I go away. This makes a beautiful kind of, well, it's very long flowering, should flower for months on end, and gives you these little wells of white. So we've got white, we've got the rich, I think kind of plumish colour of this Cedar matrona. We've got the blue of the lavender. Here is Cretian rock rose. So this will make a purple. You can kind of see the buds just starting to come there. Secretion rock rose, of course, it's shrubby, and again this might go to about 1 metre by 1 metre. The reason why I chose this is we've got ties to Greece and the Mediterranean in our heritage, and again this is a kind of reminder of that as well. It should flower for a good solid 4 weeks. I believe with all rock roses the flower just simply lasts 1 day, but they flower so prolifically that you don't notice. And then of course very hardy, and you can kind of see that coming out there. This is Centaurea alba. No, sorry, it's not Centaurea alba. Centranthus ruber albus. So white valerian. And you'll see these all around. Typically you get this white little kind of cone shape. You also see the kind of cerise red coloured one. I mean, they're great, super hardy, will self-seed anywhere, you know, grow in cracks, grow in pavement, and that's kind of the hardiness and durability that we want when dealing in a bed like this. I mean, the soil's not very deep either, extremely rocky, and again there's a couple of things that I mentioned you could try there. You know, like I thought a little alpine garden might be something quite fun. You never see a frontage of a house with an alpine garden. But I've gone for kind of shrubby, I've gone for durable, I've gone for long flowering. And of course these will mix with 2 steepers that I'm going to keep. Well, actually, let's go have a look. So that's the kind of idea there. The Origeron, that'll stay. Those 2 steepers, that one and that one, I think I'll keep. The middle one, not doing so well because it's a bit shaded out by these irises. I'll take those out. And the wallflowers, I think I'm going to keep. So, the way we're going to do this, step 1, water. So it's easy to dig. Once we've watered, I'm going to cut back the bearded iris. I'll leave a little bit of foliage above the rhizome. I'll take the rhizomes out and I'll lift them, and then I'll show you how to repot, or to pot them, because I might want to keep, I think, 4 or 5, just in case. I mean, you never know. I'm horrible with plants. I consider them my children, and I can't let any of them go. It breaks my heart every time. But the bearded irises are so prolific here that you never really run out, but I will keep some. Once we've done that, we might move the ericiums out. Sorry, not the ericiums, the wallflowers. We'll move those out. We'll take the steep out and we'll pot that. And then I'm going to put 1 bag and a bit, so 50-litre bag of just simple compost that I got from the garden centre. And then we'll plant everything in. We'll have a look, actually, before that. I'll put everything out. That's always a good idea. And we'll kind of arrange everything and see what it looks like. I kind of have an idea in my head to go with symmetry. But we'll see how it looks. I'm not sure where the wallflowers might go. I'm not sure what, you know, maybe the wallflowers in front of the Gora, for example, might be nice. But we'll have a look. So yeah, let's get on with it. So there we are. You can see the root system, and you can also see the wood sorrel. Take that off. There we go. A bit of grass. So you can see, I mean, all the energy, everything that it needs is here. That's the stuff you want to plant, just flush like that. That is the perfect way to plant an iris. And you can have this facing the sun. So for example, if the sun is to your perspective, you'd want it just like that. A little bit upright, and you'd have great irises. I'm not going to show you how to pot these, but basically consider my hand with the glove there, the soil. That is what you'll cover. Now, you want free draining, you want rocky, you want sunlight. Don't go planting these in a shaded, wet environment, because it simply won't do one. It won't thrive. That is thriving. So I'm going to prune all that so it doesn't get rocked by the wind, because when you plant them, of course, it's not very stable. It takes a while for these roots to form, and that kind of anchors it into the ground. Okay, I'm going to do that to a few of these, but again, I'll save you that. Let's dig on and try and get this done by sunset. Actually, I will say one thing. When it comes to digging out bearded irises, you don't need much. Just use the shovel to kind of loosen those roots, and then you can kind of just pick them up with your hand. In fact, you can see this little kind of thing. Now this is what iris will want to do. So you've got rhizome. Now there would have been leaves right here in the middle. That would have been the parent plant, and these are all little side shoots, and you can see them in various stages of growth. That's an absolute little baby. Look at that tiny rhizome, but a rhizome nonetheless. That will eventually be that and make all these little offshoots. You see, you can just really easily pull them apart, and you have loads of irises. Absolutely loads. So when you see me, in there digging, that's what I'm doing. I'm basically using the shovel to loosen a little bit, and then quite simply lifting them up. So let me show you, so far about 1/3 done, and look, you wouldn't believe how many irises. Look at that. God, they're really prolific, hey? Wow, right, let's keep going. Can you believe it? The sun's come out. It's not been out really all day, but of course it comes out while I'm working up a sweat. Almost done. I've mentioned, but you can see this giant clump here. Look at that. When you get a clump that big, you won't really get many flowers. So it's important that you go in and you chop away, just like how I showed you before. Pull them apart, snap off the rhizomes, and you'll have a kind of central one that starts to kind of die off. You want to pull apart from that. So you can see central, something like that, if you can see. Pull apart the little ones, and you've got new plants there. And they should flower the following year. Here's a good example. Well, that is old. That used to be one plant. Gradually, as it grows, boom, new one right there. And you can see little baby ones starting to form on the side here. So if you had left that, those start to go, but there's no point to this. So you can very easily chop that, chop there. If you can see, oh, so you just chop that off, and that would be maybe one planting, and then the following year you see these little side ones forming. You'd take those off. 3 iris plants waiting to happen. So done. Look at all these irises. Have you ever seen so many? Look at that. That's a lot, hey? Took out steeper, which you can see. The wallflowers there. Also found a catmint, nepeta, 6 Hills giant, I think, over there. This is what we're left with. 2 steepers, the oxalis, and the original. I love these. These are probably at their peak right now. Great accent plant when you have spires coming through. And that was the idea with doing steeper and the wallflower. In fact, let me get one and I'll show you the effect. I mean, there, something like that. Just reminds you of a meadow. That kind of feeling of swaths of colourful spires just gently swaying in the breeze. No breeze today, so I'm swaying the camera. Right, time for a coffee break, I think. Not the hardest thing I've had to do. Very satisfying. And then I'll come back and we'll arrange the pots and see kind of what we're thinking. I mean, if I was live streaming this, we could do a poll. Maybe that's an idea for the future. Live streaming gardening, and everyone gets their say. Stay tuned. Right, so I'm back from a quick coffee. Sun's gone in. A bit cooler actually, nice gentle breeze is coming through. I'm going to put the soil on, dig it in ever so lightly, and then we can start arranging the pots. So let me show you. Dug in a little nice tree stump right there, and here there's about that much. Oh, that much. It's actually sloping concrete. So it is such a tricky site, this. It doesn't go deep, you know. And that's kind of the thing about gardening. You're not going to get it right the first time. You know, you've got to get used to the specific soil of a site, you know, direction of the sun. There's a big difference. There's 2 beds there, but you see the difference in how things just grow slightly better on that corner as opposed to over there. It's astonishing how maybe 3 feet makes such a big difference to kind of the size of plant, or the health of the plant, the prolific nature of it. But yeah, really you can only learn a site, learn what you have by getting in amongst the soil, digging, playing around in it, and watching it, observing each season. You know, there's some parts of the garden that may get a strong, really strong sunny, they might be really sunny in spring, but lo and behold, once the leaves start coming of the deciduous trees, you find that actually that spot turns shaded. You only know that stuff through observation and getting really familiar with your garden. Now, I'm by no means an expert in gardening. I've never had formal training or education, but I've been doing it about 10 years and I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm going to walk you through this. So this is what we've got. You can see a bee already searching. Is that a little bee? Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's not looking full and luscious, but that's the hard part you have to imagine. So that's cistus. This is going to fill this whole gap. And this wallflower, you know, I might leave that there. I might put it in just for some colour, something a bit more mature, while we wait for that cistus to grow. This Centauri now, I called it Centauri again, the Centranthus. Let's maybe put it back there. And I expect that to fill out. I love the white, kind of almost pom-pom flowers. I like the idea of it coming through the steeper. And then, as well, with the lavender and erigeron. I've seen that combo before. And while small now, that is probably one of the bigger lavenders that you can buy and hopefully take out this whole space. And because I don't really want to plant too close to this pittosporum here, hopefully the flowers, if I plant it a little bit maybe there, plants will always endear to grow towards the sun. So those spikes that you see should always be kind of coming this way, and it'll create a certain nice effect where it'll kind of obscure the branches a little bit while still being far enough away that both can live happily. The erigeron, I'm hoping, starts to self-seed itself in all these little cracks and crevices here, because it's super pretty. Look at that. The white flowers turn to pink. I've got some in the back and it just self-seeds everywhere between cracks, and I quite love that, you know, kind of overgrown effect, that kind of sense of wild and decay and overgrown. And here, now, this is where things are going to get absolutely battered by sun and heat and dryness. So I'm planting for strength here. So I think the sedum, that little guy, will do best there, as well as it might be the perfect place for the gora. So, and I've got another wallflower there. So hopefully the wallflower gives us these nice flowing purple spires. The gora will give us white for months, and then boom, late summer, autumn, out comes the sedum. So I don't know, especially when planting up you know, a border or a bed, you know, you got new plants in and you want to give it a go, see how things are going to look. You know, I've thought about this border for weeks actually, you know, kind of what plant should I get, what's, you know, might do well there, you know, what kind of plants do we have an emotional connection to via, you know, holidays and things like that. But it is very good to sit your pots where you think you might want them and leave, sleep on it, have a coffee, you know, leave it. There's no time limit with gardening, you know. I've left things out the back, and I'll show you, probably not in this video, but in a future video. I might do that tomorrow. I've left things in a place for weeks, you know, and I'll have a look at it. I'll keep looking at it. And then today I walked past and I thought, you know what, no, that doesn't work for me. But we'll go through that tomorrow. Stay tuned. So I'm going to follow my own advice. I'm just going to walk around, get the different perspectives, try and imagine what it would look like fully grown. It's a bit strange, you know, because as well you're planting with other mature plants. I mean, the steepers are probably you know, that's as big as they're going to get. They're not really going to get much bigger than that, so they're fully mature. So it's, you know, always an interesting thing where, you know, the heights are or will be different. But again, you just have to use some imagination, but don't stress too much. If you make a mistake, you can always fix it or learn. Another way of looking at things: Gora there, wallflower there, steeper, sedum, sister still in the middle, but then over here, lavender and centranthus. Why do I keep... Oh no, I got it right that time. I don't know. What do you think? Try and imagine this full. I mean, leave a comment, tell me I've done it wrong, but I think I might actually go to the way we had it. I think I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to start planting. I think this is probably the one thing that all gardeners, all people that love plants, love the most, and that's planting new ones. So you can see a little bit pop bound the cistus. Break it up, don't be scared. Really rough that up. Look at that. Really encourage new healthy roots, strong growth, you know, be a bit vigorous. Give it a little scratch and that's ready to go in. We've got oxalis, erigeron, lavender, the steeper. Now, I've changed where I've put the centranthus. He's gonna go there, and hopefully he'll grow over, and his flower heads will be coming through that grass. We've got the wallflower, sedum, gora. That'll fill up. Hopefully be beautiful. There we go. Let's take it from a bit further back. We can follow the progress, maybe week by week if you want. If anyone ends up watching this and wants to know how it looks. Right. Whew. What a day. So, one last thing to do. Make sure to water your plants. Even if it's raining, if they are drought tolerant, you know, you need to compact and make sure everything is in contact with that root system, no air pockets, and a good, very solid water, more than what you think, actually. And then leave it, walk away, you know, come out for a coffee, admire your work, admire the growth. And you can tell that you've done a good job, and the plant likes it as soon as you see fresh new growth. You know, that's typically a good sign that the root system has made contact with what was there. It's stretching out of its confines of, you know, what used to be a pot and out into the world. So I'm going to do that. I probably won't film myself doing that, but yeah. So lucky for you, you don't have to deal with this mammoth task. So I've got a spot for that. I'm looking after, or trying to create, a little woodland environment, and I'll walk you through that in a future video. But some of this is going to end up there to feed the earth. A few of them I'll pot on. Now I've got some watering to do, got some tidying up to do, and actually I've got another one of these borders to do, because this is on this side of the house. There's another one on the other side, believe it or not. However, might do that tomorrow. Actually, one last thing before watering. So, we moved the wallflower. Unfortunately, we have to cut off the stalks. I might leave a couple, I don't know. And I mean the flowering stalks. What you want to do, of course, anytime you have this type of spire configuration, cut right back, either there, or you can even go one under there. I mean, it will shoot up new flowers, new flower heads, I don't know. Wouldn't be that long. But really what you're trying to do is you're trying to divert energy away from flower production and into root production. And even though you're cutting away beautiful little flowers, it's important that the plant gets re-established and that it grows new roots so you can have a beautiful plant in the future. Right, and with that, cheerio.